Hey, Vinyl Community, Jeff here again. Time for another one of the Sunday A to Z's in Christian rock and hard rock and metal and all of that fun stuff. Again, if you haven't watched one of these before, we are in the letter W, so you hopefully have seen at least one of the previous A to W ones that we've done so far. But if not, if this is your first one you stumbled across, basically just looking through my vinyl collection only. These are records I have on vinyl that are the classified in some way, shape, or form as Christian worldview. Could be loosely, which we'll cover when we run across those. Could be strictly the way they're marketed, things like that. So a lot of things can determine that, but it tends to be pretty cut and clear most of the time. But then there are some gray areas, and that's what we'll talk about at times. So we are up to the letter W. Again, we're only looking at bands that are on the heavier edge. So we're not looking at the lighter stuff, the CCM, the classic rock. We're probably going to do that next because there are a lot of great bands in that area too that we can cover. But we are at this point looking mainly at the harder edge stuff. Christian rock and metal started in the mid-'80s, early to mid-'80s. It got progressively a little edgier, and so most of the stuff we have is going to be 80s and beyond. Yeah, a lot of the classic rock stuff in the 70s, great stuff, but you know that would fall for another day. First band up is War of Ages, band that started in the mid-2000s. This is their 2007-ish release. They're a metalcore type band. Yeah, that'd be the best classification in my opinion. This was one of their early albums. This is the album roughly where I discovered them, Eternal. And I got to admit that I think I was drawn mostly to them because of the imagery. I love the imagery. You'll see that all the albums have some sort of similar imagery with the warrior. And I'm a sucker for that. That's the same exact reason I got into Hammerfall back in the day, was because of the guy with the hammer. You know, these bands that have these mascot-y type themes, medieval themes, are the, you know, sucker me in there. So that's what drew me to it, and then I just kind of fell in love with the band, with the music. I saw them on this tour. This is 2010. They were opening for Demon Hunter and As I Lay Dying and another band. I can't remember who they were. I want to guess, but I'm not going to guess. But yeah, they were another band that was part of that. There was actually two other bands that were part of. No, yeah, they were part of that. There was a local band too. But the three main bands, in my opinion, War of Ages, Demon Hunter, As I Lay Dying. So it was a great show. There you go. That's that album. Won't go through all these. They've got quite a few. They still plugging away to this day, and you'll probably remember just a couple months ago that I showed their newest album that had come out, and that is this one. So this one just came out the last part of last year. So they are still going strong. Got to meet them when I went to that concert. I had a press pass for the magazine I write for, even though I never did do an article on it. I got backstage, talked to Oscar, the singer from that band, hung out not backstage, in before the show started, and went and saw their booths and talked to him and saw them, met Demon Hunter, things like that. Fun stuff. All right, up next. Now, this is one that's going to be, this is a major gray area, and, you know, people are going to go back and forth on this. The last couple W.A.S.P. albums, Blackie had come out and started publicly talking about his faith, his return to the faith, and you see a lot of that imagery on the Babylon album and the Golgotha album, which has lots and lots of Christian imagery. So he really started speaking about it there. Yeah, and you've seen clips of him. He prays from the stage for people at times. So there was a lot going on there, and so a lot of people, I think, would classify at least this album, if not that Babylon album too, as being in that realm of very spiritual and Christianized lyrics. So you know, you're not going to go back and get the early stuff like that, but there has been a change lyrically on these two albums. So great stuff. Wanted to throw those in there as an idea. Waymaker is just another, it's a one-off so far. Another one of those bands that Christian Liljen, singer from Narnia, and about a dozen other bands has put out. He's always putting out stuff with other bands, and they all tend to, he's got a very melodic voice. They all tend to fall into sort of some kind of a power metalish view. You know, they tend to be melodic metal of some way, shape, or form. Waymaker. And here we go with one of those called Waymaker. We've seen him a couple times in this countdown before. All right, and then one of the early ones from the 80s that really blew a lot of us away is Whitecross. I saw them before this album even came out. I saw them at Cornerstone 87. They were an unknown, up-and-coming band, and they blew us away. Everybody compares the vocalist, Scott, to, he sounds a lot like Stephen Pearcy. And yes, they do have a very Rat-like sound. So people are like, if you like Rat, listen to Whitecross. And that is very true. A lot of bands, and whether they intentionally did that or it's just the way his voice is, but that's how they sound. Rex Carroll, the guitar player, became a guitar hero, ranked up there, with all the other big name guitar heroes. He's a shredder and, has a solo guitar type song on most every album. And so he's very well known and has done a lot of great work over the years. Brand new Whitecross album just dropped. I don't have it yet. I have heard it. Dropped a couple months ago. Really, I think Rex is like the only one that's one of the original members. Different singer, different band, but great stuff. But this is their first album from 87. Absolutely great. Then they put out a little EP. I don't think all their stuff is on vinyl that they came out with, but the first few are Tooth and Nail, Triumphant Return. I got this from a person and it's all chewed up there, but hey, the record plays fine. So they went on to do quite a few albums. They did, the singer basically at one point was the only one left in the band, and it was kind of an alternative sound, and they did some stuff there, but a lot of that stuff's not on vinyl. So, all right, and then this is one that I pulled that, people are going to, depends on if you know them or like them or how you would rank them. Would these guys fall more into the lighter rock side or the heavier rock side? A band called Wisdom, Face to Face. I found this album in the 80s, in the cassette, in the cutout bin, and I just bought it. I don't know why. I don't remember why. The guys don't, they don't look like the hard rockers. I don't know why. Maybe I listened to it. But the album rocks, and I don't know much about these guys. I never could find much information about them. I was glad to find a copy of this on vinyl. It seems like, if I recall correctly, there was something wrong. Yeah, the vinyl has a chip in it, so you can't play the very first part of the first song. Would love to find this again. Was bummed when I got that with a chip in it, but was glad to get it. But they've got some songs on here. Very, at times they get kind of progressive. They're kind of keyboard oriented. I would equate them to maybe a little edgier than Bon Jovi's early stuff. Maybe, they've got, I don't know. But you got songs like Ready or Not, which is like this, starts off with this extended guitar solo that kind of shred. And they've got some progressive feels at times when they go through here. So the band is kind of all over, but to me, I just fell in love with the tape back in the day. So when I started getting back into vinyl, I had to track down a copy. I need a better copy because, anyway. But it was absolutely just a great record, and I love it still to this day. So if you haven't heard of them, check it out. It's hard to find. You may not be able to, but yeah, great stuff. And then the last, Wytch Hazel, Pentecost. This is their third album, Pentecost. So yeah, UK band, new wave of British heavy metal feel. They have a brand new album out after this one that I have yet to get. They have a couple before this one that I have yet to get, but I happened to run across this one on vinyl, so I grabbed that. Fairly new band, still going strong, and putting out some great music. So there you go. That's the W's. I have a feeling when we get into the XYZs, we probably just do one video for that because there's probably not many bands there. But that's it for the W's. Thanks for watching. I'll be back later. Rock on and rock hard.